I got a feeling I'm about to get put on. I got a feeling that something finna take off. I got a feeling, and it won't be too much longer. Got a feeling coming up on the.
Like we always do about this time. I am Cornbread Capone, and this is Unpopular Honesty, the home of brutal honesty and real hip hop music. And today, my special guest is Miss Kenya. How are you doing today?
Man, I am fantastic. Thank you for asking. How about yourself?
All right, I can't complain. First question I want to ask is, when you were young, what music were you a fan of?
When I was young, I was a fan of, I want to say, mainly like Earth, Wind, and Fire, um, Isley Brothers. When we get into hip hop, I was more so NWA, Spice One, MC Pooh. For a lot of people who's not familiar with him, he's West Coast. So I guess I was like kind of West Coast. I had like a West Coast feel for music.
Yeah, I can relate to that because if it wasn't for NWA, I probably would have never started rapping. That was
Right.
that was the moment that made me want to do music seriously. You know what I'm saying? So that West Coast influence, I can feel
Yes.
that because that influence is in me. Um,
Right.
when did you decide to participate in music? And because at some point you were making music, right?
Right. Um, I so happened to just landed into it. What happened was, I was in juvenile. I was like 15, 14. And I was in juvenile. We used to go to gym. And this girl from Fifth Ward used to rap. And that's like a rival neighborhood to my neighborhood. I'm from Third Ward. And so like every couple of days she'll come in with a new rap and everybody was attentive and she was really repping Fifth Ward. And so like I decided to write me a rap one day, represent Third Ward. And when I did, it was like I shut that thing down. When I say completely down, everybody was like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, I can rap. And so I would occasionally participate in freestyle sessions where it would just be crazy and I would just shut it down. And then I started to like really take it serious.
And when you decided to take it serious, did you ever record any music like by yourself?
I did. I recorded a lot of music by myself. But what ended up happening was my producer ended up getting killed. And then my mother ended up dying. And then my manager died like months after my mama died. And so I was having like back to back stuff to happen that just really knocked the fight out of me. I didn't want no parts of music at all, period.
And I can understand that because I understand loss,
Hmm.
uh, and lost uh, the people who I never thought I would lose. So, and I can understand how that can take the fight out of anyone. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I want to ask you about how female rappers were back in that time, because in that time, to me, female rappers had more decorum. They had more of a style. They had more skill set. They were really, uh, to me, lyrically better back
Yeah.
then.
Hmm.
Uh, how do you feel about the change that has happened within music?
Um, it's a catch 22 with how I feel. And the reason that I say that is because I'm enjoying the fact that right here, right now, hip hop is not a male dominant thing. That's what I'm actually enjoying. What I don't enjoy is every single thing being sexualized. What happened to bars? What happened to telling real stories? Painting a picture where it feels like we really there. I'm not sure how we lost that in music, but we've seemed to lost it to where don't nobody want to talk about nothing except for bags, fucking, um, that's really kind of like turning up. That's really kind of it. And so that's the where like it's a barrier for me personally.
And I understand that. I ask everybody this question, and I'm going to ask you: does Miss Kenya have a top five best rappers?
Okay. Of all times, or are we speaking of right now today?
I wouldn't even ask you about today because I, truthfully, I don't feel like there's five today that you can name. So I'm gonna say all time.
Of all times, I have to start with A Ball and MJG. And then I would have to go with Fat Pat. I definitely Pac has to be in there because I'm definitely a fan of Pac. And let's see, we got two more. Mm, I'll put Lil Kim in there. I'll put Lil Kim in there. Actually, let me take Lil Kim out. I'll remove Lil Kim for Mia X. How about that? And okay, I got one more. I gotta go with Black Rob. He was good, really good. So yeah, those are my picks.
It's interesting you said Black Rob. That's a name probably most people probably wouldn't even, you know what I'm saying? Because most people only know him from one song. A
Right.
lot of people, especially in Texas, didn't at some point didn't really listen to a lot of East Coast music.
Yeah.
I remember back then people used to be like, "It's too fast. What are they talking about?" And turn it off, and that's how it was. But
Yeah.
for me, I bought the album and I listened to it, and I was like, "Oh no, he got some go in him." Because he was going. He had a Spanish record with Lil Kim, and I was like, "Oh." And first song he had with Cheryl Riley singing on it, the Life Story record, that almost sounded like blues. But
Yeah.
in a, you know what I'm saying? I was like, boy, it was serious, you know?
When I say can tell a story, each track, track for track, like he's gonna always paint a picture that it doesn't take much for you to picture yourself there in that environment, seeing what's going on. And a lot of people slept on him, but he was really one of the greats. And I can stamp that.
Yeah, I agree. Rest in peace to Black Rob, man.
Yeah,
Anybody haven't heard his music, you might want to go check that out. I
right.
want to ask you, has there been anybody that you met that made music that made you be like, wow, or that surprised you?
Um, Honestly, let me think about that because every now and then someone surprises me. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you got something. Oh, honestly, Glorilla, her. It I really thought that she wasn't it until I really got into her music. And when I really got into her music, I'm like, okay, she's talented for today. So yeah, I can rock with that. I can rock with that. So yeah, I slept on her for like a long time before I was actually woke up, and now I'm a fan of hers.
Wow. Have you ever
Yeah.
heard of Rhapsody?
I'm definitely a fan of Rhapsody.
Yeah.
I'm
It's a
definitely a fan
one.
of Rhapsody.
There's one other girl that I feel like is worthy of being in this conversation, and her name Dochi.
Dochi, that's where I was. Oh, that's exactly who I was getting ready to say. Like right now, Dochi. Honestly, like yeah, I didn't even put her in there, but Dochi right now today is my favorite female artist. Yeah, she got
Uh, when,
bars.
yeah, when I look at her and I see what she doing, it almost give me that feel of Lauren. You
Yeah.
almost like Lauren and stepped back in and gave us the miseducation again.
Yes.
I want to ask you, do you think that female rappers' content will change in terms of not being so sexualized and actually becoming about some type of skill or just talking about something other than what they have been talking about? Because that's the only gripe, for a lot of people. Everything is pretty much the same old same with a different beat. You know what I mean? So,
I have to agree with that, but I think that this phase of music will fade out just as well as a lot of other music has faded out. It'll only stick around for so long. But one thing I know, two things for sure, is that lyricists, it's hard to get rid of them. It doesn't like a lyricist will be around for a very long time. But it's just a fad. It'll blow over.
now you said you from Third Ward and I spent a lot of great years in my life in Third Ward.
Hmm.
It almost became second home for me. It reminded me. I'm from Beaumont originally, but I moved out there and I lived in Houston for 14 years. And over the course of 14 years, I had the opportunity to live in Third Ward. And when I did, I didn't want to go nowhere else. I felt comfortable. I felt safe regardless of the circumstances around the area. Uh, I had a lot of good friends, you know what I'm saying? A lot of, I knew where the green was. I
Yeah,
knew, if I needed to chill, I know I could go to OST and sit and reminisce if I wanted to, you
yeah.
know. It's so many great memories about Third Ward. I want to ask you, because you are from Third Ward, is there anything about your neighborhood that stands out to you? Or that
Honestly, it's really the unity that we have for each other, regardless of what's going on. Um, Third Ward sticks together. Third Ward, like from the smokers to the elders, like Third Ward is gonna stick together, and that's something that I'm very proudful about when it comes to my hood.
and that's
Yeah,
real. I think that's what it was that made me feel like, oh, this, because when you move somewhere, the first thing I do is I step outside and I move around.
yeah,
I look at the area. I look at the people. I might holler at some people, because hollering at some people, you might, bump into somebody that you might need to know because
yeah,
this person might know the whole area and tell you, hey, okay, you going over there? Okay, well, I wouldn't go over there if I were you. I
yeah,
go this. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Little small stuff like that.
Right.
And throughout the course of living there, uh, I had the opportunity of I want to say um okay, they had this summit at TSU for voting.
Mhm.
This I want to say 2004, beginning of 2004. They had a summit for voting at TSU, and it was like all these celebrities were there,
Mhm.
and hosted by Big Tigger. And this was when Kanye still had the backpack. He just got signed. College Dropout maybe was a month away from dropping. I actually met him, seen Dame Dash, met Jim Jones. Um, that was the first time I seen James Prince for the first time. Um, a lot of people came through there that day, and Third Ward was so packed,
Yeah.
so packed. But
Yeah.
and then I think Beyonce came, but she by the time she came, I had left already. And of
Yeah.
course, she came. They had that all on the news. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause anywhere she go, you know,
Right. Right.
it's
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And that probably was one of the and then the ill part about that is I had friends that stayed in the CUNY home. So when I
Mhm.
left there, I could go across the street. You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the joys of Third Ward. I was always at TSU for some reason, but I never went to school there. I had a lot of friends that did, and then
Right.
would go across the street. It was so much fun to me. I should write a book about my stay in Houston. I
Yeah.
really, I do miss Third Ward, and I dream about Houston often. Uh, I want to ask you, are you coming back to music, or is it a chance that you might be able to create music again?
Honestly, my mother's dying request, and she had a settlement on the line, and she was like, "Can you? I give you just about this whole settlement. Just do your music." And so because of that, I'm definitely gonna drop a project. And I've been looking at different artists that's been around for a minute that's dropping content recently. Probably not an album or what so, but maybe soon to drop an album, and it's motivated me to just go ahead and give the people, some shit that I haven't given them because they deserve it. And a lot of people are wanting an album from me. And so yeah, I'm definitely gonna give an album to my people. I am. I'm doing it for me because my music has always been therapeutic for me. But when I do it, I'm definitely gonna release it to my people.
That's
And
cool.
I also wanted to say I got people in Beaumont and Silsby and Kirbyville. So like that's pretty cool. It's cool we linked in, and whenever you want to come to the tray, even if I'm not around, you mention my name. And from the young to the old, you good.
I appreciate it.
For
Because I
sure.
definitely dream about Houston, and some days we get in the car, we just want to go to Houston.
Yeah.
Um, I want to ask you. There's mm, I don't want to say it's a debate, but it's some people who's going around saying that rappers have an age limit. How do you feel about people who put age limits on rappers?
Honestly, art doesn't have an age limit. And I've always felt like young people, you like what you like. Older people like what they like. The elders like what they like. And so if people like myself stop rapping like I did, we deprive the people of our era the music that they desire. And so it's no age limit in what's for anyone.
And I agree with that. Somewhere there is a young lady who aspires to be an artist or a star, whatever the case may be, and she might be looking for guidance. What type of advice would you give her?
What I would give her is always express yourself through your art, and when things seem like they are so tight, when the pressure is so heavy that you feel like you can't breathe, that's the time when you pop your shit. You do your best shit and you give it to them, because something is waiting for you on the other side.
And that's real. I want to I want to take time to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you on my platform. This has been a very good discussion. I know that hopefully when you get your project done, you can come back and we can do this again so we can talk about the music. Hopefully we'll be in the trade sometime shortly because I'm missing Houston.
Yeah.
Thinking of, and I appreciate you once again. Oh, before we leave, do you have anything that you would like to say? Anything that you would like to promote?
Actually, at this moment, I have a book online, My Mama's Story. So you can, it's My Mama's Story Part One, The Real Mama D. Excuse me. I'm just getting over a little something, but it's cool. The Real Mama D by Miss Kenya. So y'all can check that out. You can follow me on Instagram. I am such a effing lady. That's me. And look for music, look for more books. Just look for me, period. Because I'm always speaking life into people, because that's what I'm here for, to love and to speak life into people. I love you all. It's been a pleasure being here. And I would definitely be back to promote the project.
Thank you. On behalf of Miss Kenya and the good people at One Man Records, I am Cornbread Capone. This is Unpopular Honesty, the home of brutal honesty and real hip hop music. And until next time, everybody, peace and love, because that's what the world needs in a major way. Peace and love.
Peace and love.